Hello. So today in this particular topic, we are going to discuss the Sri Lankan economic crisis. So in this particular session, we will discuss what are the factors are there that define that why there is this economic crisis is happening in Sri Lanka, whatever the factors associated with it, whether any economic bailout has been given to the Sri Lanka, and what Sri Lankan government has done to improve this economic crisis. And at the end, we are going to discuss whether India has done anything to help the Sri Lanka in this particular crisis. All these things we are going to discuss in detail in this particular video. So this is Legacy IAS Academy. I am Pawan Kant. Let's start this discussion. So in this session, first we need to understand is what is this economic crisis is, why actually this economic crisis is there. So first if we see the inflation is very high, double digits already touched. If we see forex reserves is completely plummeted from the last 1 year. And if we see, for example, food crisis is happening, and if we see economic crisis is happening, for example, Sri Lankan government already imposed in August only 2021 the economic emergency, food emergency. So all these factors completely defining that there is a great economic crisis is happening in Sri Lanka. Or even if we see one by one factors, then we will come to know that there is a impact of this corona or COVID impact is also happening over the Sri Lanka. So what are the things we need to discuss first? First, if we see tourism. Tourism is one of the biggest actually contributor in the Sri Lankan GDP. If we see, it actually contribute more than 10% of the Sri Lankan GDP. It was badly hit. There was a cascading effect. What is the cascading effect will happen? Because, for example, if we see the tourism is completely hitting by this COVID. So people are losing job also. More than 2 lakh people have lost actually job in the tourism industry in the Sri Lanka. That is a very big number if we see Sri Lankan total population. So see, like for example, this tourism has been hit. Now people have lost the job. Now they are not having money. Their purchasing power has been reduced. So because of that, again issue will happen. So this is the one of the biggest factor is happening. Now if we see other factors, for example, whatever other factors are there that actually defines Sri Lankan, like for example, high spending by the president, government, that is also happening. Another is tax cuts. If tax has been cut by the government, because so that purchasing power of the people that can be increased. Because for example, if income tax is 30%, if you are earning 100 rupees, just for a hypothetical example I am taking here, if you are earning 100 rupees and government says that 30% you need to pay income tax, here I am not calculating indirect tax here is, then only 70 rupees left with you. But if government is decreasing this tax from 30 to 20%, now 80 rupees left with you. So definitely compared to earlier, now you are having more purchasing power. You can actually purchase more things. So more demand will come. Then what will happen? Supply need to be increased. If supply need to be increased, then employment also need to be increased. If employment increase, again the money in the hand of people increased, they will purchase more, then more demand, again more supply need to be there, more employment. So this is a completely a cycle will happen. But what will happen if tax cut happen? Most important negative things will happen. The state government or they will going to lose lot of revenues. So already tourism industry is suffering, here state government is losing the revenue also. Another important thing, if we see foreign exchange reserves, it is also hitting completely a rock bottom right now. So that is another problem, because see, if forex is less, then definitely forex in the sense we can say in the form of dollar. If dollars are not there, then what will happen? Government cannot actually import lot of things now, because see, if Sri Lankan government want to purchase anything from the export market or from the outsides, then Sri Lankan government need to pay in the dollar only. Since dollar is not there, then they cannot import it also. That is also one of the problems will happen, because if we see two important import items that over that actually Sri Lankan government is depend. The two items are basically are fertilizers. That is one item that Sri Lankan government is, and second important item if we see, that is freight. So freights also increase completely and fertilizers also. So since forex has been reduced, Sri Lankan government need to reduce all these things. So again we will discuss later what will happen in this is especially agriculture sectors. Then massive debt repayment to the China, because lot of debt that they have taken from the China, now they need to pay back it. Because this we can call that check diplomacy or debt trap diplomacy, because first actually China has given lot of money to the Sri Lanka. Now China definitely want back again in the form of interest, also in the form of principal also, but Sri Lanka government is not having that much amount, so they are not able to pay back. Then what will happen? whatever things they have built China, now that need to be given to the China only. Sri Lanka need to give to the China only. So whatever things will come, China is going to earn it. So this is another important factors they are facing. For example, if we see Sri Lanka leased Hambantota port to China for 99 years, this was in news actually. So what will happen actually is here is, see Hambantota port के लिए क्या हुआ कि China okay has given some loan to that. For example, China has given, just for a hypothetical situation, China have given for example $1 billion okay to Sri Lanka to build this Hambantota port. But whenever China give this particular loan, China put also conditions कि raw materials that what Sri Lanka is having, they are not in okay, they are not in good quality, so they need to purchase from the China only. So now China is providing labor also, China is providing steel also, China is providing actually cement also, correct? So everything is provided by the China only. So that means China is giving this $1 billion, China is taking back by actually giving this labor, steel, cement and all this to build this. And once this has been completed, then Sri Lanka is not having money to pay back. So this Hambantota port, for example, will be given to the China only. So whatever the revenue will be earned by this port, it will again go to the China only. So see, this is how smartly China is doing by providing lot of loan with lot of conditions to those poor developing economies. So that is another problem that specifically this particular country Sri Lanka is facing. Next issue, if we see 100% organic farming, what this 100% organic farming issue is, because I told you one of the important item in the import list is actually chemical fertilizer. So chemical fertilizer में क्या हुआ कि in the month of May 2021 Sri Lankan government has put ban, and 100% organic farming policy has been imposed by the Sri Lankan government. But the thing is this, for example, there's a lot of farmers are there, they are saying that in this organic fertilizers there is the percentage of nitrogen is just 3 to 4%. But whatever the crops that Sri Lanka is doing, crops basically Sri Lanka is doing, one important crop is like for example tea, rubber, correct? And third important crop is that is paddy. See, in paddy and tea and rubber, more than actually सबसे ज़्यादा जो whatever the fertilizer is required, it is a nitrogen based. Nitrogen is required. For example, tea bushes they will not develop well if we are not providing 2 to 3 times in 1 year the nitrogen. So that is not available in the organic fertilizers. So because of that, what happened? The tea production has been reduced, rubber production has been reduced, and paddy production has been reduced. And because since Sri Lanka is not able to sustain this organic fertilizer also, that means demand in the country was very high, but in-house this availability of organic fertilizer was not available. Because of this, tea import have been completely, this tea production have been completely reduced. So because we know that tea is one of the major exporter in the kit of the Sri Lanka. That means if we calculate that around more than 1.5 to 3 billion dollar annually actually this Sri Lanka receive in the form of exporting this tea, that also heavily have been imported. Because of that, forex reserve also have been reduced, and because of that, essential food items were not available, especially vegetables, especially fruits, because this chemical fertilizers was not available. And on the other end, what actually Sri Lanka has done then? Sri Lanka started importing this organic fertilizer from the China. And then what happened? Again, other problems happened here is, like for example, this Sri Lankan government need to reject this 99,000 metric ton of organic fertilizers from the Sri Lanka, from China. Why? Reason is this, because this fertilizer that they are going to import from the China, it was not up to the mark. There is lot of issues of, for example, microorganisms, pathogens, and the disease that was harmful actually to the soil, plants and humans. And because of that, again organic this fertilizer was not available to the farmers. And in the month of November 2021 only, what happened then? Sri Lanka government need to actually lift this ban on the chemical fertilizers. But Sri Lankan government is saying that this policy is still not changed. We will still follow the organic farming only. So this is one of the major factors happen, and that lead to the actually food crisis, and then food emergency have been imposed by the Sri Lankan government. Next problem, if we see whether Sri Lanka is heading towards bankruptcy or not. If we see debt to GDP ratio, it is one of the parameters through that we can measure whether any country is okay, the economic conditions are good or bad. Like for example, debt to GDP ratio, it is 80%. That means whatever if 100 rupees is the GDP, then Sri Lankan government need to pay back 80 rupees. That is the massive actually debt to GDP ratio is there. Total outstanding debt is around $51 billion. Total outstanding debt. That means this much of debt that need to give by the Sri Lankan government to outside countries or any world bodies. Like debt to China, Japan and India is total $7 billion. Out of that, if we see, okay, total debt to China and Japan, India is $7 billion. Out of that, China alone is actually having total $5 billion debt. Okay, that means Japan and India is not having more than 2 billion total, but biggest actually debt that Sri Lanka is having, that is to the China, only $5 billion. And see what is the forex is there right now. Forex is just $1.5 billion, down from $7.5 billion that was in 2019. Today actually this is $1.53 billion. See, total debt they need to pay to the China is $5 billion, but forex is available only $1.5 billion. That is another problem, is from where they will going to pay the amount. That is another issue they are facing. Correct. Now, some of you can assume that why Sri Lanka government is not printing the local currency. With the help of local currency, they can actually purchase the dollars from the outside markets, from the inside markets. Reason is if they do this, then lot of actually local currency will be available in the market. It will definitely going to induce the inflation, and that lead to the hyperinflation, and then that local currency will become completely a worthless currency, worthless paper currency. And that is the reason this method cannot be utilized by the Sri Lankan government. Even because forex reserve has been plummeted to the level of $1.5 billion, even Sri Lankan government is start asking to his own people, to its own people, whatever the small amount you are having, you can deposit to the bank, so that this forex reserves can be increased. Now, what is the Sri Lanka? The Sri Lankan bailout is there, whether Sri Lanka is approaching. Yes, Sri Lanka is approaching to the IMF for the bailout, because there is IMF is a body, okay, International Monetary Fund. That is what this particular body do. So this particular body basically provide the emergency bailout whenever any happen problem regarding this balance of payment issues. World Bank will not come, because World Bank most of the time give loan in the form of development loan and the long term loan only, but IMF provide the loan whenever there is issue regarding balance of payment. So here IMF is ready to give, but whenever IMF will give this bailout, so definitely this bailout will come with lot of conditions also, and the Sri Lankan government is not ready to accept those conditions. And that is the reason there is a news was there, Sri Lanka rules out IMF bailout and seeks China loan. That means now they are seeking the loan from the China. That means they are already debt trapped in the China only. Now they want to become more debt trapped to the China only by taking loan from the China. Because if China is also going to give loan, definitely China will give the loan, okay, by providing lot of conditions only. Next thing is, any help from India is there? Whether India is doing anything, because it is our neighboring country, we cannot allow, okay, that we cannot afford even also that Sri Lanka comes completely under China's clutches. So what help that India is doing? So what India has done basically is, India grants line of credit for the purchase of food, medicines and fuel. What is this line of credit basically is? It is basically in the form of loan only. For example, when you visit any bank and you ask for the loan, for example, if you are asking the loan of 10 lakh rupees, then bank will going to provide you the 10 lakh rupees. But tomorrow again you require 1 lakh more. Whether you can get 1 more lakh? No. You need to apply fresh for that loan. That is simply a loan. But line of credits mein what will happen? If you visit the bank and you actually require 10 lakh rupees, but today you want just 1 lakh rupees. 1 lakh rupees will be given to you. If any interest are there, you will pay the interest. If you tomorrow again require, suppose 9 to 10 lakh rupees, you can get that 9 to 10 lakh rupees. But third day again you require 2-3 lakh rupees, you can approach to the bank. Again bank will give you 3 lakh rupees. That means more than 10 lakh rupees money will be given to you. That means line is actually open. Anytime you can visit the bank and you can take the loan. That is known as line of credit. So that line of credit has been provided by the India. And this is basically a soft loan only. This is not a grant. This is a soft loan. That means the borrower need to pay back interest as well as the principals. Only difference is this line is always open and then Sri Lankan government can actually borrow the money from the Sri Lanka to purchase of food, medicines and fuel. Definitely there is conditions is also there. If Indian government is giving 100 rupees, for an example, 100 rupees of line of credit, then definitely Indian government can put some conditions like around 70 to 80 rupees of product you need to purchase that is coming from India only. Second important, a currency swap agreement to address Sri Lankan balance of payment problems. What is this actually is? Swap is nothing but exchange actually. It is nothing but exchange. It is a currency exchange agreement. What will happen here is the Sri Lankan government can purchase from India by paying in their own local currencies. That means it is not dependent on third party, that is dollars. So at the predetermined rate only, Sri Lankan government currency and for example Indian currency, both will going to swap with each other without actually getting impact from the third country, like example dollar. That is known as currency swap agreement. And then third important is India has been pursuing an early modernization project for Trinco oil farms for several years. The Trinco oil farm, it is very large actually, this petroleum reserve places there. So India is taking this. Why India is taking this? So that India can put its own oil there whenever there is a oil crisis happen, whenever the price of the oil increase, then India can take oil from here itself, or whenever oil is available at the cheap rate, then India can purchase that oil and can put over here as a reserve, so that whenever oil is actually prices increase, India can take from their oil itself to protect its economy. Because Indian this, if we see Indian trade also, then most जो सबसे बड़ा जो part है, that is oil only. So these are the things India is doing to help the Sri Lankan government. So that is all today. Thank you for watching. If you like, please share with your friends and don't forget to like and share and subscribe. Thank you.